How you guys doing? Welcome to the Brandon Cruz Daily Fantasy Podcast, where I go and look at low plays and strategies specifically designed for GPPs. This is a show for people who are already informed in daily fantasy sports and how these contests operate. If you have any questions related to NASCAR that isn't a stupid question, feel free to shoot them my way at BrandonCruzDFS on Twitter. Most importantly, take everything you hear with a grain of salt and use your best judgment when making entries. Additionally, if you have a gambling addiction, that's just not my problem. We're talking about the Trex series at Las Vegas, and we have quite a few things to talk about right here. Regarding Camping World sponsoring half the field, Kyle Busch being in here, pricing being all over the place where you can basically play anybody, and it's the beginning of the month. Perfect time to join my Patreon, so you're not paying for a full month, halfway through. I cover all three series on there, the Truck Series, Xfinity Series, and Cup Series, so if you want more information, you can check it out at the link in the description, Brandon Cruz DFS on Patreon. So, let's talk about what Marcus is doing for the Truck Series. For those of you that don't know, we're going to bring up Marcus right over here for you. Marcus, I forgot if he's the owner, CEO of Camping World, but he's, basically sponsoring the whole field, which we're going to talk about. I just wanted to point this out because I was trying to figure out what he was for Camping World, and then his website just really creeped me out. It's like a utopian society. It's so weird, dude. It's so weird. Anyway, I just wanted to bring that up. So this really sums up the whole, NASCAR is going under. NASCAR is a dying sport because there's not a whole lot of sponsorships going around, and I've been talking about that. Pearson's been talking about it for a while. Well, now, literally, deep pockets Marcus over here is like, okay, if you guys are underfunded, if you're a small team and you don't have a sponsor, I don't want a bunch of white cars, starting and parking. I don't want a bunch of white cars going around the track. I need you guys to at least have something on. What if I just sponsor you? Okay, what if I give you $15,000 to have a Camping World wrap on your car? And people are like, wow, that's amazing. And he's like, no, we're not done yet. Now, if you are an unsponsored car and I give you the $15,000 for the Camping World advertisement, how about this? If you get a top 10, I'll give you $25,000. If you get a top 5, I'll give you $35,000. Hell, if you win the race, I'll give you $50,000. So we have artificially lifted the bottom of the barrel of the Truck Series up with these $15,000, and now he's basically throwing them out there and saying, hey, this is your one chance outside of the Dash for Cash that they do, midway through the year to get a lot of money in your disgusting, grimy hands. So we have to deal with that. So normally I have the whole sponsored situation here. Well, now I don't have it sponsored. I'm calling it Campers. And the 3-3 is because today is March 3rd, and so this is when I wrote this, or at least updated it all. And so this is actually showing the cars that have Camping World sponsoring them this week. Obviously the blue where it says yes would mean Camping World is sponsoring their car. No is they're not being sponsored. And why is this important? Because let's talk about NASCAR history real quick, since they don't talk about it. So 2015 or 16, I forgot what year it was because I did this earlier today. Those are the last years that the purses were public knowledge, to where you could see what people were actually paid out, what the purse was for the race. People think that these guys, that especially the Truck Series, they think they're racing for, $100 grand, $50 grand. I mean, they're racing for $50 grand, but everybody else is racing for penny stock. So yeah, so 2015 was the last year we had the public purses available. And I wanted to bring up race 2 at Atlanta that year because Las Vegas was farther down the schedule and closer to the end of the season. So if you look at the race equivalent to this Las Vegas race in the year 2015, it would be the second race at Atlanta. The purse for that race was $500,000. The winner got $42,000. Second, I don't know if you can see it. Let me scroll down. The winner got $45,000. Second place got $26,000. So, good Lord, a huge drop-off. I complain a lot about the drop-offs for these DFS contests, but this is absolutely horrible. Fifth place, $18,000. Going to 25th position, $14,000. So you got only about $4,000 separating 5th place to 25th place, and that was back in 2015. Last place paid $9,000. So if you look at the Las Vegas race that year, the purse was $500,031, or 500,000, 31 or 531,000. That was the purse. So the winner got 45,000. Second place 31,000. Fifth place 19. 25th 12. Last place 9-1. I can only imagine that we don't even have. Maybe it's the same size, but I can't imagine it's much more than that. So this Camping World situation is actually really important, and I don't know if we're really going to understand how stupid this race might get. Like, this might be a wreckfest in stage 3. Like, these idiots could legit, these backmarkers who have literally nothing to lose, they were just gifted 15 grand, might say screw it and try and get a top 10, try and get a top 5, try and win the race. And I mean, that is just asking for disaster. Anyway, I wanted to bring that up. So that's why we see a lot of guys with no, a lot of guys with yes here. And this is accurate to, midnight of March 3rd. So yes, Tyler Hill. The Hill brothers had actually already packed the truck up and they were driving to Las Vegas when he announced this. And so Marcus, reached out and tried to see if they can find somebody to wrap the car. So Tyler Hill will actually run a Camping World truck as well. So keep that in mind, because if you look at any pictures before, the truck is just their 56 red. They have another sponsor on there, I believe, but Camping World just paid them 15 grand to, put their logo on there. Now, second part of this, Friesen has no idea what to do here. Kyle Busch is too cheap, absolutely too cheap, and you're like, wow, what are you talking about? Look, I actually really like Kyle Busch in the Truck Series and not in the Xfinity Series. The trucks are going to race very similar to the Cup Series, which is stupid. It shouldn't be that way, but it is. And so Kyle should get in here, and he should be able to get through the field and win this race. I'm going to project him having a lot of fast laps, having a lot of laps led, and it's not necessarily he's going to hit value. It's just that he takes all those points away from everybody else to where they can't get them. And I think he's too cheap. At 15,000, he's too cheap. And pricing is too cheap across the board, especially for value plays. You can easily fit Kyle Busch. Like, it's not even an issue. Not an issue at all. Kyle Busch price tag is not an issue. Even if you're not playing Kyle Busch, you can play whoever you want. It's not an issue. So let's go through the field and let's talk about this more as we get through. Ben Rhodes starting first, not interested in. I am probably going to be 80% on Kyle Busch, and if I'm not on Kyle Busch, I'm going to be very heavy in lineups on Austin Hill, Zane Smith, and Clearman, but I should have a crap ton of Kyle Busch, just laying that out there. So that's my mentality looking at this starting grid, looking at these drivers that's represented in my ranking. So not too big on Ben Rhodes. Sheldon Creed should lead laps up until Kyle Busch gets through, so give him the first stage, somewhere like that. I think Kyle Busch will already be through the field way before the end of the first stage, but Sheldon Creed should be the favorite to lead right off the bat if you're looking for someone like that. Off that, John Hunter Nemechek, I'm not really interested in. Matt Crafton, not really looking at. They're not terrible plays. I don't fault you if you're going that way for lower ownership, and it could work. I mean, these guys are far too cheap. Matt Crafton at 8,600. Easy to fit in lineups. Stuart Friesen, we have starting 9th. He's $8,400. Easy to fit in lineups. And he's actually probably my favorite play inside the top 10 if I'm not focusing on Sheldon Creed. I really like Stuart Friesen here. He ran extremely well at these tracks last year. He just had bad luck, man. He literally kept getting wrecked. I mean, he was involved in every wreck known to man anytime he was having a good day. And I just can't project him to be wrecked every freaking week. So I'm going to have a lot of Stuart Friesen here. And also, I just have these numbers here to show you where the payouts for the top 10, top 5, and win go, just so you can easily see that it's going to be very limited. And you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. You have 10 guys right now with Camping World on the truck, and 3 of them in actual good cars, because Sheldon Creed had no sponsor up until Tuesday. And so Sheldon Creed is going to be going for that $50,000, just like a Dash for Cash situation. So if anybody else wants to win, they got to get around Sheldon Creed. That's why I'm actually very heavily on Sheldon, because he legit has incentive to win the race. It's not just, oh, I need stage points, oh, I want to lead the laps. No, like, he has 50 grand. This should be Sheldon Creed's $50,000 right here. And if it's not, it should be Rafael Lessard's, because these are the only two guys in actual good equipment that have Camping World on the car. Just want to put that out there. Chandler Smith, I mean, I just don't think I'm going to get to him. Derek Krause, certainly not going to get to. Like I said, Stuart Friesen, probably my favorite play there. Carson Hocevar, not playing him. Johnny Sauter, I like Johnny Sauter a lot. Johnny Sauter's too cheap. That's a misprice there. I mean, him at $8,100 is ridiculous. He's a top 5 contender. Should easily be there. Can fit in a lot of lineups. Austin Wayne Self, not interested. Rafael Lessard has Camping World on the car, so he has incentive. I don't imagine he's going to lead laps. If he's going to do anything, it'll probably be towards the end of the race. I imagine this will be a guy who, which is why I have a lot of the guys with Camping World as a DNF factor of high, because I think these guys end up wrecking each other a lot trying to get, the payouts here, because these payouts are actually better than what they regularly get in these positions. Like, this is unheard of. This is just, these teams didn't go into this season expecting Vegas to be a race that had one of the biggest purses this year. This is not the race for that. And just randomly, 3 days before they race, they're like, hey, you know what? This is actually probably the second biggest purse of the season, that we can actually get paid in. And so what would usually just be, oh, we're just going to start and park, what would be, oh, we're just going to take it easy, has now turned into, holy crap, this is, we're locked into the race. We didn't get kicked out. There's 40 of us here, and this is the biggest payout we can actually have this year. So I think we're going to see a lot of stupid chaos in this race because of that, and with these backmarkers trying to get the extra payday in. David Gillin, I like him. I think he's going to be clean. I think he's going to be really safe. And David's, he's a good racer. I know he didn't get much love in the Cup Series, but he was with a horrible team his entire career. He has connections to the Furniture Row, so he's not going to leave him or anything. Now he's back to racing. He's already winning an ARCA, running his own equipment here in trucks. This is a situation to where a guy who has a lot of talent, I think, in the Cup Series from when he used to run there. Now he's back to racing. He should be clean. He should be fast. He should run very well. Chris Wright, not interested in him. Tyler Income, not so much. I don't know why I always burp so much when I'm here, man. I just start burping like crazy. I don't drink soda before anyway. Tyler Income, he seems to be the worst GMS driver outside of Chase who's the other guy? I just went blank. What's his name? Yeah, Chase Purdy. Which he's a 5th car, so it doesn't really matter. But Tyler Income is by far the worst GMS driver there is. I don't like him at his price. I don't see it working out. 8,200. There's other plays that I like a lot more. Brett Moffatt. This is interesting. This is a test to see how Moffatt does in this Nice car. He's 9,200. This is really based off of what he had in that GMS truck last year, but he's been fast. He had a great car, great truck in the road course. And I know you're like, what do you mean a road course? Why are you looking at that? Well, the equipment was at least solid. Bret was able to himself, with his skill, muster that car up to fight for the win. And if he got way more out of that car than I thought he would at a road course. If he can do anything similar to that, I have him projected for 10th to 6th. But if he actually shows up to perform, he might actually compete to win this race. Grant Enfinger is racing for Cody Roball in the number 9 car, obviously because he has a part-time schedule for ThorSport, which is just dumb. ThorSport's going under, just putting that out there. I've already kind of talked about that. But he's priced, and people are probably not going to notice that he's in the 9 car because people don't really do their research. DraftKings still has him listed in the 98 car, but he's not in that car. He's in the 9 car for Mr. Cody. And, this equipment is trash. I think Enfinger can wield the thing, 18th to 12, somewhere around there, but I'm not paying, 8,800 for this car, for this truck, which I don't believe in. The only thing going for him is that, hey, man, he has incentive. And, this is a legit opportunity for Cody and this 9 team to make some money. They have a way better driver in this than him. I'm sure he's like, Grant, get whatever you can from this car, checkers or wreckers. And they're going to be wrecking for that 50 grand. I guarantee you. Timothy Peters, I mean, his price isn't the issue. 7,200 will easily fit in a lot of lineups. I'm just worried that I'm maybe overestimating what this truck can do. Maybe it's worse than I think it is. I mean, anything could be possible, but that just might be the situation we're in. Tate Fulgham, I'm not playing him. Chase Purdy, I don't like it. Tanner Gray, top 15 car, but I think I'm going to go other directions. $7,000, easily going to fit in a lot of lineups. And I think he should actually, in terms of value, he should be very chalky because he fits into a lot of lineups. Dawson Cram, I don't like, but he's got sponsors. He's got sponsors, and Dawson actually put on Twitter, he was like, look, up until, yesterday, we didn't have a sponsor. This is our first sponsor for the season. Dawson and this team would come across as the guys who are just going to take this 15 grand and not do anything stupid with it. They can, they can at least travel the next 2 races and not really worry about it too much. That's really all this 15 grand does for a team like him. Ryan Truex, if I get to him, it'll just be because lineup's in there. I don't really see any upside in him versus other people around his price range. I mean, he's 6,300, but right around him, I mean, he has Haley Deegan. If you want to go with Jordan Anderson, which I'm not going to, but you can go there. You can go Spencer Boyd, Bret Holmes. I don't like Ryan Truex. I think there's better plays around him. Tyler Hill, as I said, he's going to be on a Camping World truck, and I actually really like Tyler Hill going into this, even before hearing that. I think this was a top 15 car. Now, I mean, we have seen the Hill Motorsports truck be a top 10 contender, especially late race incidents, when we have late race cautions, when we have late race chaos. The Hill brothers know how to take care of a car. This is a situation where I actually really like this car, specifically in a sense of they're going to be racing for this money. This is like they know they can get a top 10 in this car. He's going to be extremely safe, and I like the upside that Tyler Hill offers a lot, which is why I'm probably going to be very high on Tyler Hill. I don't know if people are going to be there. I just think he's really, really underpriced. $5,700 is far too cheap, and I'm going to be going to him a lot. Danny Bone, up and over. Danny Bone, not really interested in him. Corey Roper, not interested in him there. Jordan Anderson, I think Anderson's going to be popular, and Jordan has such a weird. I think he's a bad play, and I just don't think he works. And the only reason I would consider playing him is because, yet again, he has Camper World on the truck, and because he's basically locked out of Xfinity. He can't get in because he's locked out on points. He wasn't able to take a Q time at Daytona, and because of that, he's basically locked out unless he buys points from somebody else to get into the Xfinity Series. And the reason that's important is because he's put a lot of money into that program as well. And so he's basically, built and put together an Xfinity car, got motors and everything, and he hasn't been able to really pay it off. Sure, he finished second again in the Daytona race, but, I mean, you can't just, build cars left and right and not really get any money or return on that. So when I look at Jordan Anderson as a guy who has Camping World on the car, I see this yet again as a guy who really has nothing to lose. He seems like a guy who should try and get that incentive to try and get a top 10, try and get a top 5, and really get money that can actually help his team. Because, as I said earlier in the year, I think Jordan Anderson expanding to the Xfinity Series was a terrible choice, bad financially, and just bad for his, his equipment, his performance in both these series. I think they're going to be hurt by that, and this is his chance to, get some extra money. Kyle Busch, I already said I'm playing him. Interest is going to be very high. I'm just concerned about NASCAR really trying to get a Camping World truck in victory lane, and kind of playing dirty with Kyle Busch and saying he's speeding or giving him an EOL or just doing something stupid, taking Kyle out of contention. Haley Deegan is too cheap. Awesome play here. I mean, this is the exact same place she was at Kansas. Where did she run? Did she run Kansas, Kentucky? Don't remember where she ran last year, but she finished 16th. I think it was Kentucky. or Kansas, whatever. The race that she ran, she finished 16th. That should be exactly where she runs again. She is far too cheap at her price tag of $6,400. So I like Hailie Deegan a lot. Austin Hill, probably going to be very popular, especially if people aren't going to Kyle Busch, but he's probably my, not a bad play, but he's my least favorite of the place differential plays. I'd much rather have Zane Smith. I'd much rather have Parker Kligerman if you're talking about the guys who are expensive. Not a bad play, just I'd rather use that salary somewhere else. I like Zane Smith. Spencer Boyd, underpriced, but I still don't know what this car has. $6,100. I just got to hope. I assume he's a 20th place car. He's fully sponsored this year, but even so, man, I'm not really high on Spencer Boyd. Jennifer Jo Cobb. I'm trying to think if people are really paying up for multiple drivers, you might have to punt. And in a situation where you might be forced to punt, and which I don't think you have to. I don't think you have to play Wooji, Cobb, Benning, Hocevar. I think you could very easily play Kyle Busch and expensive guys and not have to be at the bottom of the barrel. But if people are going to the bottom of the barrel, they're kind of forced to go to Cobb or Jesse Wooji. And I don't know what the ownership is. I don't like Jennifer Jo Cobb that much to do that. Norm Benning, 1,500 is huge for Norm. I need to move that down so you can see it. 1,500 is huge for Norm. I don't see him really pushing anything crazy and, wrecking the car, even because he was fully sponsored this year, or at least had money enough to not start and park here. I don't see Norm as a guy who's going to race stupidly for that incentive. He's just happy to have that 15 grand, Connor Daly, the IndyCar driver, coming back here. Him and Travis Pastrana ran this race last year, and Connor finished 18th here at Las Vegas. I think he's going to be in the exact same situation here, and his price doesn't reflect that. $7,700. I don't see it, and I'm sure he's talked to Jimmy Johnson at some point more, especially because Jimmy's an IndyCar. I'm sure he's reaching out to Jimmy Johnson now that they're actually in the same series. So I see Connor doing well. Jesse Iwuji should be so slow, he'll make it through. He'll make it through the race. He's so horrible. He's so horribly slow. He just avoids everything and takes advantage of wrecks. And a race where I'm thinking we might have some shenanigans late in the race, maybe a wreck fest, maybe a wreck into turn one because people are trying to get positions or something crazy. And I say that, and this is the one track where Jesse Iwuji just forgot what the brake pedal was and nearly destroyed the pit road wall. But I hate Jesse Iwuji as a projection play, but I'm sure he'll finish way better than however I project him. Because like I said, he'll probably go laps down. He'll probably be slow, but people are going to wreck. People are going to do stupid stuff, and he'll get a top 20. He'll probably get a top 20. And he has Camp World on the truck, so Jesus Christ. Bret Holmes, ARCA Series champion, probably the king of ARCA right now. He bought the 28 points from the New York Fire Department truck, Dassault's truck. So he's using that, and I'm assuming that just means Dassault is just going to be gone for the rest of the year. And I actually really like this. I like this play a lot. Bret Holmes should run good equipment. He runs pretty much the best equipment money can buy for ARCA. I doubt he's going to show up to a truck series race and run terrible. He's running family money. I think they're involved in construction or the oil field or something along that line. So they have a lot of money. Bret Holmes, he's a favorite play of mine. I'm not sure what his ownership's going to come into. I'm sure he'll be popular in people who understand racing, but people who don't probably will just be like, "Who is this guy? I'm not going to play him. I'm worried about it." And they might go to Jennifer Jo Cobb or Iwuji or BJ McLeod, other guys. I love Bret Holmes. I'm going to have a lot of Bret, a lot of Kyle Busch. I can tell you that. BJ McLeod going to run for Rayum Brothers Racing, running Camp World on the truck. He's in play. I hate to say it, but he's in play. He'll take care of the truck. Very similar to the Cup Series, $5,300, starting second to last. Can't lose you anything, and I think he can get a top 20. I think he can get a top 20. I don't think he'll cause anything stupid. And I see him, running 24. I see him running 29, 27 throughout the race and slowly moving up in stage 2 and probably stage 3, working his way into 22nd. That's where I'm at. And then Parker Kligerman, running Camping World on the truck, and this is one. So we got Parker, we have Raphael Lessard, and we have Sheldon Creed, who are actually in great equipment with Camping World on their car, and they legit have a shot at the 50 grand. So with that going on, I like Parker Kligerman a lot. I already had him projected for a top 10. He's got Camping World on there. I think Parker Kligerman is too cheap. You can easily fit him and Kyle in a lineup, and you could probably even go to Zane Smith. I think you can easily get 3 10K guys and be perfectly fine. If you get 2 10K guys, it's even better. You can play whoever you want. You're not having to necessarily punt in that situation. And so that's really all I have. I'm probably, like I said, I'm going to be very heavy on Kyle Busch. Probably going to be very heavy on Kligerman, and using just other guys who are underpriced to build on my lineup. So that's how it's going to be. I don't know what to think about the Camping World situation. Do we see this really play an impact in the Truck Series, which is already a joke series anyway? These guys can't drive anyway, and now you're just gonna wave. You're gonna sit on their back and throw a. Do you really? I don't fish, as you could tell. You're just gonna chuck the lure in front of them, and what a horrible analogy. You're just gonna wave money in front of them. You're gonna wave money in front of these guys who normally can't race in general, and now this is gonna go from a race that wasn't expected to have a big purse that actually has a lot of incentive for these guys with Camping World on the truck. It could really lead to chaos. We could really see a lot of wrecks in this race. So on the scale of 1 to 10 for a wreck fest, normally we're at about a 5 at Vegas. I think this pushes up to a 7, 8. You could argue maybe for a 9 late in the race. So keep that in mind when you're making lineups. Because of that, I'll probably be very back heavy, really stacking from the back, expecting chaos to happen. So hopefully you guys enjoy the video. Check me out on Twitter and on Patreon, BrandonCruzDFS. Thank you for watching, and we'll catch you in the next video. Thank you for checking me out again. Thank you. Peace out.